So I'm Tatum Tonge and I'm Deputy Head of English at a 3 to 16 school in the Rhondda Valley. I've been teaching for 14 years and I've been teaching in the Rhondda Valley for all of that time. And in that time, I've been a classroom teacher, I've been head of Post 16 and I'm currently Deputy Head of English. It was definitely inspiration from the teachers that taught me. And I think with lots of teachers, it's usually someone or some person that's inspired them, either by subject or by that relationship they've had with them. And you get close to that teacher or really inspired by that subject and you find your way into teaching like that, I think.
So my name is Ryan Evans and I'm Deputy Head Teacher at Ysgol Nantgwyn. So my role is a Deputy Head Teacher and my role includes being responsible for attendance, well-being, safeguarding, standards, pupil well-being, staff well-being, and just generally making sure that pupils have an enjoyable learning experience on a day-to-day basis.
So the qualifications you'd be looking for to pursue a career in teaching would be that you need your degree. And from there then, if the degree, whether it's in your subject or not, you can do a PGCE in your chosen subject at a later point. So it's really important that you've done your degree. Before that, you would need to do your A-levels and you would need good A-level grades. And prior to that, it would be your GCSEs. And I know the entry requirements with your GCSEs, usually to get onto A-levels is 5 GCSEs, A star to C, but you need a B in English and a B in maths in order to pursue the teaching career. So if you don't get that the first time, then you can obviously go back and resit those GCSEs at a later point. But upon entry to your PGCE, you would need to have a B in English and a B in maths.
So you'd go GCSE, A-levels, your degree. That could be in a specialist subject, could be in geography, computer science, business management, anything like that. And then you'd pursue then a PGC, so a postgraduate certificate in education, and that would allow you then to become a teacher. But you have to complete the postgraduate certificate in education in order to be able to become a teacher. Once you're a qualified teacher, we then look for staff to further develop, so continuing their professional development, and that could be via a master's qualification. Again, that would be completed at university. It could be done on a full-time, part-time basis, and then staff then would continue their professional development.
So in Wales, we're really fortunate that there is a real support and drive to get teachers into the classroom and use the degrees that teachers have got, get them to do PGCEs and get them in the classroom. And with that incentive, we're looking at £27,000 as a starting salary for a teacher that can rise up to £41,000 during the first 6 years of teaching. When you enter the classroom as a classroom teacher, there is opportunity then to take on teaching and learning responsibilities. These are responsibilities that the school recruit within their staffing to give teachers extra responsibility within the classroom, extra leadership and responsibility around the school. And these salaries can range from, in addition to your salary, from £500 all the way up to £14,000. So those figures there are added on top of the salary that you would be on for your teaching.
So in terms of soft skills, staff that we employ need to be effective communicators. We're working with lots and lots of stakeholders. We're working with children, we're working with colleagues, depending on the type of school that you work within. For example, we work within a 3 to 16 school, so we've got pupils right the way across the learning continuum, from nursery and reception up as far as year 11. We need staff that are punctual because we work by a bell right the way through the day with different lessons, with a start time, with a finishing time, with lunch times, break times. So staff have got to be effective time managers. We have to have staff that are effective communicators, and we have to have staff that are able to think on their feet, basically, because every day is a different day and every day offers different challenges.
Hi, welcome to my school, ready for a full day ahead. Before I take you to the classroom, I'll just need to sign in. It's really important that we sign in because if there's any fire drills, which can often happen within a school situation, that it's really important that both all the pupils and staff can be located, who's in the building and who isn't. So this is the main desk where visitors that come to the school can sign in and meet prospective teachers if there's any meetings, and we've got our finance department and admin department who work behind the scenes, and they are, shall we say, at the core of lots of the decisions and choices in the running of the school. So every teacher's dream place here is the photocopying room, and usually have to fight a way to get in and out. And this is the quad, so this is one of the play areas or the yard, as we say, if we're in a secondary school, for our children to come out and kick a ball around and have some fresh air. We've got benches down the end. It's really important that the children have time outside, because if they don't get their time outside, they're not focused in the classroom. So we always encourage the children to come out and have fresh air. So we've got the staff room there. Very rarely get down there, but there is a staff room there where staff can go to, and there's a workroom as well there with computers. So when you've got to do your data entry, if you need to plan resources, if you need to do any research or complete any work, we've got a fully equipped computer room in there. We've also got your teas and coffees if and when you get a chance to come down and have one. So this is the school canteen and school hall, and can be used for assemblies. It's used at break time. It's used for lunch times as well. And this is the point where your form class might do a class assembly that you would be responsible for if you were their form teacher, or if you take on any leadership and management roles or development opportunities, you may even run your own assembly in front of a year group, and imagine that full of faces. So this is the English corridor. Some staff have got offices to undertake any work that they may need to undertake. We've got 7 or 8 classrooms up here which children come to have their English lessons. Pre-COVID, they would come up to their lessons and wander around the school. At the moment, the children are staying in their classrooms for the day, and the teachers are actually going to them. So this is one of the English classrooms. And although the classroom is laid out in rows at the moment, that's because last lesson the children were needed to sit in rows. They were actually doing pair work, but it's no problem if the classroom needs to be moved around into groups, small groups, or if we need to put it into an arch. As a teacher, you decide what the room needs to look like, depending on the task that you're doing. And each day, I get to look out of these windows and we see the Rhondda Valley, and I'm very grateful for working in this area. So a typical day in teaching is when the learners are in front of you, when the children are in front of you, the jobs that need doing outside of what they need have to wait. So between the hours of 9 and 3, when the children are in front of you, teaching is your absolute priority, giving the very, very best to the children, because that's what they deserve. So very often you'll find that teachers come into school early in the morning and will stay late at night in order to do the whole realm of work that we have to do: planning, preparing, getting the classroom organised, and all of the other jobs that we need to do that sit outside of when you've got your contact time with the children. And it's really important that even though we've got planning and preparation time factored into the school day where we may have time away from the children, it's still not enough. That we find that we do work outside of the school working day. But you find most teachers are very happy to do that, because essentially we want the very best for the children, and in order to do that we need to work outside of the school working day, because those jobs can't happen when you've got your children in front of you. So the day doesn't run from 9 till 3, as some people may believe a teacher's working day does. We rock up at 9, we leave at 3. It certainly doesn't. You have to be in by, before the school day to get set up, to prepare, to get your resources ready, get your classroom ready, so that children walk in and they're inspired and ready to learn. And then when they're gone, when you're exhausted, but you still need to be prepared for tomorrow, or you might need to get data done for the children, or complete data on the children, or simply prepare for the day ahead, it's really important to recognise that the school day doesn't just sit 9 till 3, and it's very often either side of that quite late. And quite often there are whole school meetings, there's whole staff meetings where we may need to attend training, or we might have meetings specific for our year group, and those are factored outside of the school day as well. So very often we might have 2 meetings a week that we have to attend, and it's all about organisation then, and making sure that the other jobs that need doing are done. And sometimes that can happen at home, and it just depends on that person and their workload and the management of their workload, whether they choose to do that in school or at home.
So working in a school, there are a multitude of jobs that are available to anyone. We go from our caretaking staff to our canteen staff to our general day-to-day support staff from an admin perspective. We've got our teaching staff, we've got our raising standard staff. So a school environment can offer anyone a vocation if you want to pursue it in that environment. If you like working with children, you will be able to find a job that really suits you. It just depends on the skill set and what you want to achieve in your career. To work in a school, it doesn't mean that you have to be a teacher. There are a number of external agencies as well that link with us. So we've got YEPS, we've got YOS, so real youth engagement. where they look at the core of a pupil and really try to develop them and give them the best possible life experiences. So if you want to enrich the lives of children, then you can definitely work in a school, be that a teacher or within a multitude of different job roles. So from a recruitment perspective, if you wanted to get into teaching, as I said earlier, the building blocks are to gain a PGCE, and then when you're ready to start applying for positions, more often than not, positions are advertised either through council websites or through websites like eTeach. So have a look on eTeach and you'll be able to see then what sort of positions come out. What you'll then do is you'll apply for that particular position by contacting the school in accordance with the information on the particular website, and then you'll submit then a letter of application as well as a CV. So it's really important that everyone gets the right kind of CV to fully sell themselves and to show what they can do in that particular position.
The best aspect of the job is the children. Sharing my knowledge and my passion of my subject with the children whilst preparing them to succeed for the future is something I am absolutely humbled to be a part of. And whether I'm preparing children for GCSEs and giving them the qualifications they need to succeed in their next pathway, or whether I'm teaching children phonics, reading and developing oracy skills lower down the school, these are basic skills that these children need in order to succeed in life, or whether they're qualifications for their next step. I think there is no better place to be. I'm at the forefront of education and I'm with the children of our future. For somebody that would be applying for a job in teaching or thinking about pursuing this as a career, I would say if you've got a passion for a subject and you're really good at that subject, I would say go for it. I would say, if you've got that drive and those organisation skills, those communication skills, and that real want to be a part of shaping the lives of children's futures, I would say go for it. So if you are thinking of going for a career in teaching, I would say make sure you've got those GCSE grades. You need 5 A stars to see, and if you don't get that English and maths this time, then you can go to a college, or in your school they may do resits, because you will eventually need that B in English and that B in maths, but that can always come later as well if you don't get it this time. You do need to go onto your level 3 courses then, whether they're A-levels or whether that's the BTEC. You need those level 3 courses, and then essentially then your degree. And your degree doesn't necessarily need to be specifically education focused at this point. If you are interested in media or if you are interested in sport, then go and do a degree in it. And if you've got that drive and passion, go and do that. And then at the end of that, you might decide, now I want to become a teacher, because those first thoughts or those thoughts I had when I was in school, yes, I still want to do it. But these decisions don't have to be made. You need to get the grades. You need to make sure you find that passion, that subject that you want to do, and the rest will come.